are down to our last speaker of the morning. Our last speaker is Isaiah Shell. He will be attending George Fox University in the fall, where he will study mechanical engineering. DCS has played a major role in Isaiah's relationship with his friends and has given him excellent opportunities to open up about life and his faith with others, as well as adequately preparing him academically for future learning and for his career. Isaiah will be talking about the importance of all the parts of the body of the church today.
Close your eyes and imagine this. It's a warm, pleasant June day in 1991, and you're sitting in the grandstands of one of the greatest racetracks in history, Le Mans. The sound of roaring V8 engines tearing across the French racetrack can be heard, echoing across the countryside. But then, in the distance, you see a green and orange wedge of a car rocketing towards the back straight. And then, you hear this. Fiery Doritos, spinning at 9,000 RPM. It's quite the noise, isn't it? And yes, your ears don't deceive you. That was indeed the sound of violently spinning Doritos. Doritos? Doritos, not a series of pistons. That's because what you just heard is the sound of the Mazda 787B, a Group C endurance car that features something called a rotary engine. Now, sure, this engine doesn't exactly use the same delicious, cheesy chip that only the elite consume, but it does contain something similar. Particularly, 4 cast iron triangular rotors spinning in tandem and producing an eye-watering 900 horsepower. As you can see, the similarity is uncanny. This revolutionary, no pun intended, method for converting fuel, spark, and air into linear motion, after going against all the odds, ended up leading Mazda to a first-place victory that year at Le Mans. An incredible hero story for all car nerds alike. So, let's back up real quick. Why did I begin my inspirational TED Talk with telling you guys why a rotary engine is the coolest engine ever? Well, today I'd like to share with you how all the critical roles of the parts of an engine can be compared to the gifts that God has given every one of us, and how not all those gifts are exactly the same, but how they're all just as important as one another. Mazda's surprisingly reliable, race-winning engine was a culmination of years of development, testing and failing, over and over again, but in the end, led Mazda to victory. But this victory was not due to just one single part in that engine. No, a rotary engine works correctly due to the synergy of multiple parts working together in tandem. Although a triangular rotor is vastly different from, for example, an output shaft, they're joined together with one common goal: to move that race car, and at insane speeds. In the same way, we Christians are united in Christ to achieve one great goal: to point others towards Jesus. Similarly, not every one of us is used in the same exact way as another. So, when you find someone who, for example, is all about going on mission trips and traveling thousands of miles across the world, that's great. But if you, for some reason, just don't share that same enthusiasm, or you aren't called, don't feel jealous. Don't think you're doing something wrong. God has gifted every one of us in different ways to ultimately achieve a larger goal that might not be completely obvious in that moment. I am not a good public speaker, and I struggle to talk to people in general that I don't know very well. But here's the point I'd like to share with you. God has not forgotten about me. Not any of us, not by a long shot. 1 Corinthians 12 states this beautifully. If the whole body were an eye, where would the sense of hearing be? If the whole body were an ear, where would the sense of smell be? But in fact, God has placed the parts in the body, every one of them, just as He wanted them to be. If they were all one part, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts, but one body. Children's ministry, worship, writing, speaking, missionary work, all of it, and much more. Even if it's not a direct leadership role, I can almost guarantee that every single one of us in this room have at least one opportunity in our lives where we can display the love and servanthood of Jesus to others. God has a purpose for everyone in this church, and through him we're all united. No, we're not united by what we're good or what we're bad at, but instead, we're united by the plan that Christ has for us. God chose to gift us in different ways, so that each one of us can complement one another with our strengths. Someone's weakness might be another's strength, and working together, these can achieve a much greater goal than originally imaginable. So, the next time you hear the sound of a car engine running, whether that be at 2,000 RPM or 9,000 RPM regardless, I want you to think of all the parts of that engine working together to fulfill a greater purpose, to get its driver and its passengers home safely where they belong. Now, how will you serve the kingdom with the gifts that God has given you? Thank you.